Thanks for tuning in to All About the Music.
Hey, I'm Pimp Daddy D.
I'm JB. And we're not doing a music review right now. This is a little bit of a rant.
Yeah.
Things that really just ticking me off lately. I love Gene Simmons as far as Kiss goes. I grew up listening to Kiss, enjoy Kiss. Peter Criss, wouldn't call him the greatest vocalist in the world, but I still like some of his songs that he sang with Kiss. Mm-hmm. But both these guys are out there. Oh, rock is dead. Rock is dead. And then just recently, Don McLean. Yeah. Do you even know, most people, Don McLean? Who's Don McLean? American Pie, big hit song, great song. And Starry, Starry Night, which is about Vincent van Gogh. Mm-hmm. And it's a good song too. When were both these recorded? Like 1970? And since then, nothing. And then he comes out and he's like, rock and roll is dead. I'm like, you people are morons. First of all, yes, the prevailing music right now is more hip hop, more, upbeat, and that's just a musical trend. If you think that this trend is going to last forever, and I'm not saying that, rock and roll is going to make a comeback and take it over. That's not what I'm saying. But just like rock and roll ruled for a long time, and then all of a sudden out of nowhere you had disco, and disco killed rock and roll for 10 plus years, well, about 10 years really. And then all of a sudden, boom, rock was back on the top of the charts and disco was gone. All right, so what your musical tastes are today does not mean that that is going to stay the norm, that it's always going to be heavy bass in the background.
It's not. You know what's crazy? I think that in a lot of different other genres, the legendary artists say that when they see, the new generations coming about, when they see that particular genre is evolving and turning into something else, it's not going to stay the same. Nothing stays the same in this world.
No, nothing stays the same.
And so they're giving the new rappers, or they're giving the new rock and roll bands and the new metal bands a lot of stress, and hold them up to a high standard.
To a high standard.
But it's like, hey, chill out. This genre's not dead. Metal's not dead. Rock and roll's not dead. Hip hop is not dead. So the Jay-Z's, the Nas, the greatest, the Lil Waynes, like, I get it. But it's not dead.
No, these people claim that a certain genre of music is dying.
Yeah, just go with the flow and respect these young artists for who they are and for the sound that they're producing, and you will grow to appreciate them. Just like the guys before you, they appreciate you. The guys, if you came out right after James Brown, James Brown had to appreciate you, Steely Dan.
Yeah, exactly. You
know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
everybody feeds off each other, and as the music sounds and trends evolve. But it just kills me that these guys, number one, they're claiming a certain genre of music is dead. But I think, you haven't embraced the internet. If I just go on YouTube, or I just tell my, I don't want to say her name right now, but the Echo to play me a genre of music, it's going to play me all kinds of stuff that I've never heard before, or bands that I've heard, and I'm like, oh wow, I never knew they did that song. Or it's a remake, and it could be whether it's rock and roll or even disco or older rap or R&B or country music, whatever floats your boat. You go on YouTube and you find, wow, there's still a lot of bands making this music. And as far as what are some of your top selling acts? Well, a couple years ago, Greta Van Fleet, which is that new rock band, they sound a lot like Led Zeppelin. Mm-hmm. They had sold out concerts, and I think this was around 2017. They've got a CD coming out. They're really hyping it, so we'll see how that sounds. But you still have plenty of rock bands. And did you know that 2 million guitars every year are sold in the United States? 2 million guitars. So declaring a genre of music dead, when there is a kid in a garage somewhere, there are these bands that are in these bars, places, and they're playing Southern rock, they're playing rock and roll. There are guys out there who are still playing and doing like 80s sounding music, whether it's a techno sound or even a hip hop sound from the 80s. There's a lot of people out there still playing this kind of music, and when you rely only on the radio or you rely only on just a couple of people, you're missing out when you should just say, hey, go to some playlist somewhere and let it play, and you'll find, wow, wait a minute, this genre of music isn't dead, it's alive and kicking.
Yeah.
And then also, if you're so crying about rock and roll is dead, then why don't you have one of your minions go to some bar somewhere and find some local band that no one's heard of? Because every time you take someone on tour with you, it's some mediocre band that's got one song that's signed to the same label. Why don't you go out, especially bands like Kiss and these older bands that wield a lot more power, and grab these nobody bands? Find somebody worth a damn, take them on the road with you, and make them a star. You have that power. If you want a certain genre or a certain style of music to continue, and you're that older artist, why don't you put your 5 seconds of your life into sending one of your people out to find some music to take with you? But no, you don't do that. You'd rather cry and say, we were the last, we were the greatest, blah, blah, blah.
Don't do that.
Exactly.
Don't do that. Look, give it some time. Have an ear for these new artists that's out, okay? Yeah. Look, somebody gave you a shot, you give them a shot. You know?
Exactly.
They're not going to sound exactly like you. They're not. So you have to appreciate the genre that you're listening to. You have to appreciate it for what it is, okay?
Oh, yeah.
Give it a second.
And just because, they're not playing rock and roll exclusively on the airwaves, all music comes back around. I hear some top 40 songs today that I'm like, man, that is straight up disco with a bass beat. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, you're borrowing from other people, and there's a lot of popular artists out there that, are borrowing from past legends. I'm putting it nicely when I say borrow.
Right, yeah.
But you know what? I could go on about this all day long.
Could. Hey, and this pop music that we're listening to,
it's all good.
Yeah, it's all good. And sometimes I'm like, hey, Ariana Grande. I gotta appreciate her. I gotta appreciate her.
What, DNCE, Cake by the Ocean?
Yeah.
I love that song.
Hey.
I know it's a few years old now, but I love that song.
I'm telling you.
That and Nelly's Hot in Here.
Oh.
Always play that.
It's always going to be a classic. And at that time, it was on the top 40. You know, it was top 100. And it lasted for several months, if not maybe a year or two.
Well, when you're in the top 100, that one hangs in for quite a while.
Yeah, yeah. And, we could play that, going to a little house party.
Oh, sure.
And
I play it just going up to the store, so.
Hey, let me tell you something. The women would definitely be taking off clothing piece by piece.
Hey.
You're right. I'm going to keep it rated PG for the fans.
And you know what we're going to do?
We appreciate you all so much.
Right.
Like we always say every time we get on. Hey, thank you for tuning in to All About the Music.
Any comments we appreciate, because we feel so lonely, man. We feel so lonely. I'm going to read one comment.
Keep the positivity alive. Let us know how we're doing. As we always say, we always want to know your feedback on us. And till then, hey.
It's all about the music, baby.
All about the music. Let's get it.
See ya.